The book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.
Oh, did he say Jesus? You just sinned, brother. You knew that. Yeah, these dumb Israelites. I got to talk about these dumb Israelites who say you can't say Jesus. Yeah, they on full retard. Never, brothers, never go full retard.
You're serious? You don't know. Everybody knows you never go full retard.
What do you mean?
Check it out. Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man, look retarded, act retarded, not retarded. Count two picks, cheated cards. Autistic, show, not retarded. You got Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Slow, yes, retarded maybe, braces on his legs, but he charmed the pants off next to him and he won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded. He was a goddamn war hero. Right. You know any retarded war heroes? You went full retard, man.
I was reading, these dudes was getting on them on the comment boards. I was laughing. Somebody wrote, so if it's a sin to say Jesus or Christ, the apostles, when they wrote the New Testament in Greek, they must have been the devil then. They must have been so wicked. And they said, we'll answer yes or no. And the dude said, we ain't answering you. Y'all play with these dumb Israelites out here if you want. They are dumb. I tell you, in Acts 2, it tells you when they taught the... Wait, give me that real quick. I just got to say it.
Acts 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
Okay, so watch this. Let me see who's thinking. I'm going to see who's thinking. If they went to Jerusalem, just bear with me. I'm going to see who's thinking. If these Jews, devout men out of every nation, they came to Jerusalem, what was their first language?
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
Hebrew.
I can't hear you.
Hebrew.
Yes. That is the language they all had. And this is what I want you to understand. They came to Jerusalem to worship. Who was the administrator of the laws during that time? The high priest. Thank you. The high priest. The high priest. So, they had to have Hebrew all in common to come up to celebrate God's high holy days. Now, I want y'all to peep this. Read on, Officer Leon.
Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
Every man heard them speak in his own language. Let's see which ones. Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galilean?
Meaning the language of Galilee was Hebrew. Don't they just speak Hebrew? Go ahead.
And how hear we every man in our tongue wherein we were born?
How do we then hear every man in our tongue wherein we were born? So, if the tongue where they was born, no, read on so we can see the tongues. Go ahead.
Verse 9, Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia and Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of God.
So you got Cappadocia. I'm just picking up a few ones. But Cappadocia, you got Pontus and Crete. Those spoke Greek. They spoke Greek. I said that for a reason. So their first language, it says wherein we were born, right? So their first language was the languages wherein they were born. Everybody with me so far? Hebrew was what? Their second language. So I'm saying this for a reason. When I used to work in a school system, I'm just giving an example, then I'm getting back to the story here. In the school system, a lot of Dominicans, I worked at George Washington High School, a lot of Dominicans said, Spanish is our first language. English is our second language. We want to take the state exam in our first language. So the principal, who shall remain nameless, said, you sure you want to do that? And they had a club called, what's it called? ESL, English Second Language. That was the club. That's what it was called, English. ESL. He said, sure you want to do that? So I knew what he was going to. So I said, so when he went out the room, I said, y'all sure you want to do that? Because I knew what was going to happen. They said yes. Mostly women was doing the talking. The Dominican women was dominating the whole thing. They administered the test, and the test was not in no Dominican Spanish. It was Castilian from Spain. They all failed. Every one of them. And the principal said, I tried to warn y'all. But you know so much. My point was you can have the language where you're born as your first language, and you can have another language as your second language. The apostles, now I'm getting back to here. The apostles could have spoken to all of those Jews in Hebrew. Right or wrong? But the Lord said, no, I want you to speak in the language wherein they were born, because that's their first language. Meaning what? They know that language what? Better, fluent. Now, I'll give you an example. We can speak Talab in English. That's not his first language. Many times, what does that word mean, brother? What did the word mean? Who wants to send you teaching somebody? You got to keep hearing, what does that word mean? Can you explain? English ain't his first language. Some of you got Brother Ezekiel from Santo Domingo. Spanish is his first language. English is his second. So they got to translate. This is what it means. So the Most High wanted the apostles to speak in their first language wherein they were born. That way, it's no question, what do you mean by that? They knew, they heard it, and they spoke it fluent. Everybody understand me?
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel, Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join IUIC will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join IUIC to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join IUIC channel to get your latest updates from all our YouTube channels. Shalom.